So, welcome to another board game review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're taking a look at what's called Space Marine Adventures. And this is, let me get it right, Labyrinth of the Necrons. And this is from Games Workshop. Games Workshop are most famously known for things like Warhammer 40,000 and their Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar kind of tabletop miniatures games.
And their Lord of the Rings stuff too.
Yeah, it was called, I don't know if it was always, now it's like Middle-earth strategy battle game.
Right.
It used to be Lord of the Rings, but then they came up with Hobbit sets a few years back, and now they're revamping that into a new edition. So now that's, they've got a lot of new, exciting things going on. And one of those new things is they're starting to put out a few board games. Like, you buy a box, it's got a board game in it. Very traditionally, this is what I would expect to see.
And a board game based on their big lines.
Yes. So this one is obviously a Space Marine, so this is the Warhammer 40,000 kind of universe, and it comes with 5 different Marines, and each one of these comes from a different chapter, so to speak. So you have an Ultramarine, a Salamander, I think these are called Grey Wolves.
Yep.
Or Space Wolves. They're grey. And then Imperial Fist, and then a Blood Angel. And these are little press-fit miniatures, so they have the great detail you'd expect from Warhammer 40,000.
Really nice miniatures.
And you could paint these up and you wouldn't be able to tell a difference on a tabletop. But when you build these, they put together, these don't require any glue. You do need a hobby knife to cut them from a sprue, but you put them together and then they're good to go. And these are all very, very good. The only issue I had is my Ultramarine. His head's a little bit loose, so that comes out.
But you can put a little tack or glue on there. And
I need basically one little dab of glue for that, but everything else goes together really tightly and really evenly, so that's nice.
And they look good too. There's no gaps. They're really nice looking miniatures.
Yeah, and that's your bling on the table, so that's really cool. So it's also, you get a nice board game, but you can start doing some hobby stuff if you wanted to. So Space Marine Adventures, this board game, it's like a miniature dungeon crawl style game. And it's basically you have a team, so there's 5 Space Marines, you choose 4 of them to play with, and you can play with 4 players where everyone's either got 1, or you can play as few as doing it solitaire, where you just control all 4 and you do it on your own. So that's also nice, a little solitaire small game. There's 3 levels that come in the game, and it's a case of going in. There's like an objective that you're trying to get to, and it's killing Necrons, and they keep spawning and spawning and spawning, and then trying to escape. That's the reality of what the game is. And the 3 levels are similar in style, just they get progressively harder and harder. And that's it. There's 3 levels, but the game comes with 6 maps. So really, you could play each level 6 times with a different map. So there is some replayability in that, but each level has a different deck of cards that you play with that controls the Necrons and how they spawn or any special abilities that might happen. But that's the reality of what the game is short, quick and dirty. How long does it take to play one game?
30, 35 minutes?
Maybe 30 minutes. They're nice and quick. This is what you can see here. This is what you'd have on a table. It doesn't take up a lot of space as well, which is nice. I have Space Hulk at home, and some of those levels are like huge, and it takes forever to set them up. This is nice. It's like one board, put a few counters out. Here's the entrance and exit. So it's not nice and quick like that as well. So what's something that you liked from this game?
Well, I'm not really a miniatures guy like you are. But I think the production of this game is fantastic. Love the minis. I think the art is fantastic. It has the Warhammer 40K feeling, and all the lore is embedded into it. I think that's really cool. I liked how each of the characters had different abilities. They have their own player powers that you can use and abuse. And frankly, if you're not using their abilities, you're not going to do very well.
Yes.
I also like that it's fast playing. I also like that the actions are controlled by a deck, meaning I think each character has 2 cards, right, that activates them and goes into the deck, and then there's about 8 or 10 Necron cards. So you're drawing those out. It's very similar to chit pull in a lot of our war games, but I like that because you never know when you're going to go. Usually the guys that go first end up getting a little hosed.
Yeah, because you have to get out of this tiny little entrance, and it gets clogged up really badly. So you've got to really try and maximize that. Just get out.
But I thought a lot of those elements worked very well to make overall a very playable, very enjoyable cooperative game. I liked this.
Yeah.
In fact, we played it 3 times today, and I enjoyed all 3 of the plays.
Yeah, we played through the whole game, and it's cool. That one of the other nice things is outside of your player power, there's a pretty hefty deck of like special cards.
Right.
And you shuffle those up, and you deal 2 per Space Marine, and then you basically can pick 1 to assign to each of your Space Marines. So you're getting a choice from a small variety that you're given of, do I give my guy a frag grenade, which can do a 1-shot pretty decent attack, or a little special ability that can maybe rally my guy if he's wounded, or I had one on my Imperial Fist. He was like a rapid fire. He can shoot in a straight line, and he can attack everyone within range as a free attack. So really powerful sometimes, being able to line up a good shot and attack 4 guys for free.
And that actually worked out well for this scenario because there's a long corridor.
Yes.
The other maps, I don't know that would have worked as well, but because of all these spawn points, man, you had 4 or 5 guys lined up.
And the way it works is you set the map up, and then you deal out these special cards.
So you can choose.
So I saw it, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, we're definitely using that, which was nice.
Yeah, I thought that was a neat element that gave some variability.
Yeah.
And some extra choices that you had to make.
The game is really easy to learn as well. When I was opening it up, the rule book, I was like, oh, this is a decently sized rule book, but really there's actually only like 4 or 5 pages of rules. The other, like one of the pages is like extended setup with pictures, which is nice. And then when you get into the back of the rule book, it's like how to put the miniatures together. Here's some examples of professionally painted ones if you wanted to do that. Yeah. And then you get into the, if you liked this, here's
First Strike.
Continuing your adventures with this other box set, which is a little bit more money, but you get 3 times as many miniatures in it, and it gets you to this kind of wets your whistle to I want to do more, and it's it's a more tabletop version. It's kind of like that next step where there's a bit more freedom from.
Yeah, this is definitely like a gateway to this bigger system. While Warhammer Miniatures don't use these rules, right?
No.
But it's a way to get into it, experience the lore, experience the characters and the environment, and then decide, oh, this is something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, and what's nice is that you get these 5 miniatures, and buying a box of 5 miniatures is usually anywhere from it can be as little as $10 to $15 for low level guys.
As high as 30.
Yeah, if you're starting to buy the really expensive guys, you get 5 in a box. Those are gonna be $30, $35. But so you get some really nice sculpts, but they kept the cost down by having the Necrons are like counters with great pictures on them, but it's just counters. But in my brain, I'm like, the first thing I did when I opened this is I looked at prices for buying Necron Warriors to see if I could build them and replace them and how affordable that would be. So it works on people like me. I want to buy more.
Right.
So kudos to them. It does what it's supposed to do. The game itself was fun. I had a good time doing it. Maybe I wish there was a little bit more. I feel like we've played this. I know what to expect from it now. Because what they do is they seal up. For level 1, the card deck is kind of sealed, and it says, don't open this. And level 2 is, don't open this. So you do level 1, and you need to open another deck of cards, and it's different cards that you have to play against, which is cool. Now, the second time round, I know mostly what to expect from that.
Although you can't memorize all the cards, but you still have an understanding of what types of things can happen.
And outside of just picking a level and doing it, there's kind of rules to help you play all 3 levels together as you delve deeper into the labyrinth, on and on and on, as a campaign. Now then you start to get into, really, my guys are in bad shape and wounded.
Right.
You start thinking about taking more of those med packs instead of some of the other abilities and things to keep yourself alive.
Yeah.
So that's also really cool that they did that way. You can really challenge yourself. And there's an extra deck we didn't play with called the advanced deck. Makes it much harder as well. I think there's a lot of cards in there. So.
I think that's my only complaint about the game. I thought it was fun. I thought the rules were easy. The mechanics and understanding how to play was very easy. I never really felt like we were in danger.
There was one moment in the second level where there was a ton of guys on the board, and I was like, "Oh, we might not win this." Just because there was a lot of guys.
I think we won all 3 of our games. The first one we didn't get one of the guys died.
Yeah, we had the salamanders.
But the other times we had learned, and so I think that's my only complaint. Maybe I didn't really feel pushed. I felt like I had the ability to do generally what I needed to do.
And maybe that other deck does that.
Well, let's look at. While we're
open that.
Where is the deck?
It's right here. It's this one. It's unopened.
Because I maybe if it adds a lot of, and once again, I don't know that that's a bad thing, but to replay this, I would want this to feel harder.
3. So these are extra cards we're going to add into each level.
So they probably are more powerful.
Oh, geez, yeah. So this basically undoes your objective taking.
So if you've activated the switch, it deactivates it. Wow,
that would be bad.
That would be bad because some of those it was a matter of rolling 6s,
and we suck at that.
Yeah, we rolled. I think one time I rolled. Was it 7 times, and I finally rolled a 6?
These would make it much harder. All Space Marines that are within 2 squares of the objective are transported to one of the squares on the first stairwell.
And that would be very bad. Yeah. That'd be very, very bad.
If you've done the objective, place 4 Necron counters in the new stairwell tile.
Okay, so you have to fight all these to get out.
To even get out.
Okay, so there's the answer to my question.
That's how you make.
That's the way you make that game more difficult. Adding any of those in would, because generally you're going to see almost every card in the Necron deck. And if the Necron deck runs out, you lose the scenario.
And then there's this extra challenge deck as well.
Okay.
If you're using this challenge, if a Space Marine starts his turn on a square that's adjacent to a Necron, reduce its action characteristic by 1 for that turn.
And losing actions is bad.
Yeah, these just make it harder to time what you do.
So that is how you ramp up difficulty.
Oh.
And ramp up whether or not you're going to be able to finish or not. Oh, so these are advanced missions.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Okay. That's interesting. This is more of campaign-based stuff.
Okay.
Like if you don't make it out of the stairwell, you immediately die, basically.
Oh, okay.
So you play the next mission with 2 guys instead of 4.
Got it.
So yeah, that's cool. That definitely adds
some difficulty.
Which difficulty to me makes it more replayable.
Right.
Because I want that challenge. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Well, it's like any game. If you go in and you crush it, time after time after time after time, you kind of lose your interest in playing it. And so that's good.
And for a game that's meant to help people to introduce them to the world,
right?
Something that's going to keep them playing and challenged, I think is good. So I think what we'll do is we'll just show you the board real quick, just wrap up with some final thoughts. So here's kind of a look at the board. You can see these are the spare boards. So there's basically 3 double-sided boards, so you can play with 6 different maps, and you just choose which one you want to do. You can do them randomly. But basically, you've got 5 Space Marines. You choose 4 of them to play with. You've got the Blood Angel. He doesn't get to go on the mission. And then you basically line them up in the entrance. And what happens is you have an objective, and let's say, I'll put the objective away. Basically, there's an objective that you put, and the objective's marked on each map of kind of where it goes. The objective is typically this kind of objective space. It's kind of hard to see. That's been one of my only complaints. I wish this was easier to kind of pick out. Yeah, the map's small, but it's all kind of green there. And basically, Necrons are going to spawn. They start on these numbered spaces. But really, what you're looking at is your little data cards for each of your Space Marines. So here you have I think they're called Space Wolves. And then Ultramarines here. He's got a range of 6, and he's got 4 actions he can take. He gets a free melee attack if he moves next to someone. If you look, normal side, wounded side, they're identical. It's just that if you're wounded, you're going to die if you take another hit. This guy, he gets +1 to his attack roll when he's doing melee because he's got that big chainsword. And basically, what you do is you have this activation deck here, and this is shuffled, if I can pick them all up. And in this deck, you just have, this is ultramarine simple. Imperial Fists, these are the Necrons, Salamander, Grey Wolves. You basically just shuffle these up, and this is how you determine who goes. You just flip one. So, who's going first? It is the Necrons. So, the Necrons have this Labyrinth deck. They just flip one, and this tells you what to do. So this is, place one Necron minion counter on translocation square 1, and then another one on translocation square 4. The Necron minions are all in here. You have a little bag. They actually provide this nice cloth bag. It's got a bunch of these tokens in it, and we're just going to pick one at random. So one's going to go on space number 1. Well, number 1's already got a guy on it, so we're going to put another one in an adjacent square next to that. And then we're going to put one on number 4. Number 4 doesn't have a guy, just put another one out. So if you look, these two are different. This is a Necron Warrior, and this is a Necron Immortal. And they have little data cards up here. I'll just kind of show you the base ones. Really, really simple. These are kind of overkill, if anything. Got the great artwork. All of this is, Necron Warrior's got, you have to roll a 3 or higher, and the Necron Immortal 4 or higher to kill him. That's really all that is. We also have Necron Lich Guard, and then the Overlord. If you're playing level 3, this is an Overlord instead of a computer console, so it's much harder to kill. You have to roll a 6, and he has 3 hit points, so you got to kind of do damage to him. But on the other levels, you're kind of looking at, this is a computer console. So you're trying to kill your way to this. When you're standing on it, you roll a 6. If you can roll a 6, you spend an action, roll a dice. Try to roll a 6. No. Not good. Don't want to be doing that. But you're trying to get there. When you do that, what you do is these 3 exits, you flip them. That one's still closed. That one's still closed. This one's open. This is where the exit goes. You put the little exit stairs. Now everyone has to book it down here. Now, everyone at that point is churning around, trying to kill stuff, trying to get to this objective, trying to guess which exit that it is, and everyone's like, run. But that's really what the game is. It's get in, kill stuff, get the objective, and get out. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to do all of that before this Labyrinth deck runs out. If this runs out, and you haven't met the objective, you lose the game. Or if this runs out, and if you only have 1 guy in here, or no guys, you lose the game. If you can get 2, that's basically a draw. If you get 3 guys, a minor victory. If you get all 4 guys out, that's you like fully winning the game. Now, that is, it's not the most challenging thing in the world if you play just the base game, but yeah, it can get pretty hairy. If you have guys start dying, it's impossible to basically win the game, so you're like, just try to make it out and hope for the best. Hope that the Emperor is not upset with you that you lost half your team, basically. But that's really a lot of what the game is. You know, you have your 3 or 4 actions, you have your range, you're just trying to roll dice and kill the Necrons. And basically the Necrons never move. It's just more of these spawn cards. 2, 4, and 6. Or this one. Well, this one's a special ability. Until the end of the next round, roll a d6. Each time a Space Marine performs a move action onto an empty translocation square. On a 1, the Space Marine is wounded. Very, very bad. So then you have to start worrying, oh, I kill these guys. Do I actually want to go in here? Roll a d6. I'm fine. Roll that 1, you're going to take a wound. And then you're like, oh no. Because if you flip another card, and you get the one that says spawn on a 1, if you're ever on a translocation square, and you have to spawn one there, you take another wound, suddenly I'm dead. So you are quite squishy in a way, but it's easy to keep yourself away from having to kind of suffer from that squishiness. But honestly, that's basically it. This activation is really cool, because each Space Marine has 2 activation cards. So I'm going to have my Salamander's going to go, so he's going to move up a couple spaces. To attack, you just have to make sure you're within range. Salamander's got a range of 3, and I'm going to attack that guy. I'm going to attack the guy number 4, so what I do is I just roll that green dice. He's a warrior, so I need a 3 or more. I rolled a 3, he's dead. His special ability is if he rolls that 6, he can kill an adjacent guy, because he's got this flamer. It's got really short range, but it can do a lot of damage when it does. He's the opposite. He's got really long range. He's got range of 8, so he can shoot all the way down here if he wanted to. But if he attacks at +1, so he's got some good power if you can get guys lined up in a straight line. And Melee guys are good because it's very close quarters. These are not big maps, so that's nice as well. But that's pretty much it. The game is really, really simple, very quick to learn and pick up. The other cool aspect are these. These are kind of the special cards. A lot of these are either items or special abilities, and there's a ton of them, and they come with this fantastic artwork. I think the 40K artwork is iconic. Just the look and feel of everything. These are so great. And these add a whole bunch of different things to what you can do. Just extra bonus fun stuff. Like, this game makes me feel like I'm a big, strong Space Marine. I can go in and kill a bunch of stuff. And it's a good little fun solo game because it's quick and dirty. Playing co-op is also fun because you're like, it's spread out. You don't have as much cohesion. Someone wants to run off and do one thing, and you're all trying to generally meet the same objective, or if someone gets hosed, it's trying to go over and save them. So there's a little bit of fun stuff. But that's really the basics of this game. I'll wrap up with some final thoughts here. So that was a look at kind of the board and the miniatures and kind of how it all looks. Like you see, it's very easy to play. I read this rule book on the way over. Someone else driving.
Yeah.
I read the rules and I was like, oh, I'm done with the rules. This is really easy.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I was expecting it to be like the Necrons are going to move and attack each turn. Because in my brain, it was like Space Hulk, where it's the genius dealers and they run around and actively attack you. But really, they just more and more of them grow, and it clogs the board up. And if they get to you, that's when you take damage.
And their role in this game is just to cause you to have to take more actions to get rid of them.
Yes.
That's what it's about. It's not about them attacking you. It's about them simply getting in the way.
And it forces you to make a decision. Oh, do I go onto this spawn point? Do I risk it?
Because that's damage.
When you really risk getting killed.
And we did a lot of that in this scenario, this final scenario, and I feel like we crushed it. So taking that risk really helped us, but it also could have wiped us out.
Yes, that is very.
Both of two guys were wounded, and that was bad.
But I thought that that was really cool the way you had to think about that. But also, not having a super complex AI kept the game really simple.
Yeah.
Like, this is a game that pretty much anyone could pick up and learn.
Yeah.
There's not super complex, really easy, quick and dirty play. So, if you don't want to invest hundreds of dollars on playing Warhammer 40,000, this is a great way to get that fix and that feel. You've got the Necrons, which are like undead robots that kind of look like Terminator robots, and you got your big Space Marine. So you get your fill of just being a super Space Marine going around blowing stuff up, which is awesome. That's really what we do 40K for. So I had a blast playing this.
Me too.
And this is a board game. So I think they don't actually sell these in Games Workshop stores. Okay. This is like a line of board games they're trying to put into places like Barnes and Noble or like your other local game stores, just to they're trying to make themselves more available and open to people who aren't just like die-hard tabletop hobbyists. So I think that's a good move. It helps them get more customers in the long run as they get more people interested, but it also opens up their world to more casual players like us, where I don't want to invest $800 in building and painting an army. It's going to take me 5 years, and am I ever going to play it?
Right.
Whereas I can just play, and I'm like, I get that cool feeling because it is a cool world. I think the lore is very interesting and it's cool stories.
Well, it's also interesting. The name of the game, the kind of sub name or category, right, is Space Marine Adventures. I could easily see this becoming an expanding universe,
believe
right?
There are plans to do that.
But
I don't
they could
know
add
for sure, but
an expansion with, say, 2 or 3 new missions or new rules to change things up very easily.
Yeah, I want to see Space Marine Adventures, foray into the Dark Eldar.
Right.
Change all the names in the new edition.
Right.
But, there's so much they could do with this because the system is really easy and it very easily be applicable and rethemed and reskinned with new stuff and a few new mechanics. Be nice and easy to do. So that was Space Marine Adventures, Labyrinth of the Necrons. Nice and easy game to pick up and learn. This is a very casual board game. So don't be scared off by kind of the 40K world, and the playtime's really short. So I think that's a benefit to it. And it can be played solo as well, if that's what you're interested in. So appreciate you guys tuning in. This is made by Games Workshop, but it's available at most of your local retailers as well. So I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.
And I'm Grant.
Thank you very much.